On June 13th, one of the most famous footballers on the planet scored a World Cup goal and then told FIFA to keep the fine. Vinicius Junior was approached for a mandatory halftime interview. He refused. A reporter warned him, "FIFA will fine you." His reply, "We will pay the fine, but we will not give any interviews." Not a single Brazil player went to the microphone. That one moment, caught on camera, sparked a debate that had been building for weeks. Because this wasn't just one player being difficult. This was the opening scene of something much larger. But here's where it gets interesting. Those mandatory halftime interviews exist because of broadcast contracts worth billions of dollars. And just days earlier, FIFA had announced mandatory 3-minute cooling breaks, scheduled at the exact same point in every match, regardless of temperature, regardless of whether the stadium had air conditioning. Breaks that several international broadcasters, including Fox in the US, immediately filled with advertisements. Netherlands captain Virgil van Dijk said it directly. "Every time going to commercial is a bit, not really what I like." FIFA announced these breaks at the World Broadcaster meeting in Washington, not at a player welfare summit, at a meeting for broadcasters. So when Vinicius refused the interview, the football world didn't react with outrage, it reacted with recognition. This wasn't an isolated incident. Iran's federation accused the United States of vindictive behavior after the federation's Secretary General, its vice president, and 12 other key officials were denied U.S. visas. The team was forced to base themselves in Tijuana, Mexico, sleeping in one country, crossing a border on match days just to play their games in Los Angeles and Seattle. The Iranian Federation President Mehdi Taj, a sitting vice president of the Asian Football Confederation and a member of FIFA's own competition committees, couldn't get into the country running the tournament he helps govern. Then something else happened. Omar Abdulkadir Artan, who was set to become the first Somali referee to officiate at a World Cup, had already been vetted by the State Department and issued a valid visa, then was denied entry by Customs and Border Protection at the border anyway. Gone. Before he ever stepped onto a pitch, Iraq striker Aymen Hussein was detained and questioned for 7 hours at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, his phone inspected before he was allowed into the country. The team photographer wasn't. Hussein's response, "Why is America hosting the World Cup if it is so hostile to foreign nationals?"
At first, these events looked unrelated. Then, Spain played their opening match against Cape Verde, a nation of 525,000 people, playing in their first-ever World Cup, a country that won its African qualifying group ahead of 8-time finalists Cameroon. The result was 0-0. Spain could not score. And this is where everything connects. The 48-team format, spread across 3 countries and 16 cities, was designed to feel inclusive. But inclusion has a price that not every team pays equally. The bigger federations absorb the travel, the logistics, the disruption. The smaller ones absorb it with less of everything. And yet, Cape Verde, no stars, no budget, no World Cup experience, held the European champions scoreless on football's biggest stage. The deeper you look, the harder this becomes to ignore. A superstar refusing a broadcast obligation. Players competing during mandatory ad breaks dressed as welfare policy. A national team sleeping in a different country. A referee turned away at a border despite holding a valid visa. And a nation of 500,000 people stopping Spain. These aren't separate stories. They are the same story, told from 5 different directions. FIFA built the most commercially powerful World Cup in history. What they didn't plan for was this many people, in this many places, pushing back at the same time. So here's the question. Is this just friction at a massive tournament? Or is it the beginning of players and federations demanding a different kind of deal?